So with no further ado, I'm going to hand over to Ozzie.
Woo! Hello everyone. It's very weird to be back, even though, because this building wasn't here and everything's kind of changed. And I got a little guide round with Kev yesterday, seeing all the different departments and things. So it's very quite surreal. But basically, this is my little intro, and it's so funny because with bits of these are all gifts of my work. But someone else wrote this for me, which is kind of because I'm a director, so that's my the main thing what I do, which I direct. I came from doing music videos to fashion ads to then now TV commercials, and then I kind of worked with different artists and all the rest of it. But I always find these things really weird when someone else gives you these little bios, because I find them really hard and horrible to write. But that's my bio. But what I thought I would do, just to kind of intro you into my work, is I did a little show reel. And I can't remember the last time I did a show reel where it's just like a mashup of my work. Because usually when you send things out, you just send all your work and you say whatever specific. But I've done a little mashup, 30-second mashup for you guys to watch. Oh, you can do, yeah.
Oh, no, I believe Margaret filming, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's okay.
The impact should be there, hopefully, still. Little snippets for you. So yeah, that's literally since I've left, that's a bunch of fashion stuff, music videos, commercials, all the rest of it. And I guess this is just a little list of what I'm going to kind of talk to you guys about, which is where did I start, what did I learn from university, and then how did I take that into the next stage. And then from there, I kind of thought what would be quite good is breaking down a job, so a recent job I've done, and what that kind of looks like from idea to pitch into it to conception to edit to then when it goes out. And then I'm going to show you a bit of personal work, which is separate from paid work. It's me investing in myself, basically. And then advice, ? If I've got any, I'll try, give you it. It's just going to be from my point of view and my perception, so hopefully it helps, and then some questions at the end. So, where did it all start? I started kind of a lot of people maybe in my generation. I don't know if it still happens now, but I stole my dad's camcorder, which was a hi-8 big tape camcorder, and made skateboard films. That was where it all came. I was very much Jackass era generation, where it was filming everything, being silly. YouTube was in its infancy, so it was putting things on YouTube and and not really caring what everyone else thinks. It's more giving it to my friends and going I care what my friends think. Don't really care about what anyone else thinks. From there, I studied English literature, media studies, and drama at college, New College in Pontefract, where I'm from. I originally wanted to be an editor because I thought, in my head, not thinking about film, I thought editors they were the ringleaders. I thought they were the ones who they're the ones who, I get everything, I can do it how I want. And I kind of liked that kind of power in that, but not really understanding kind of every other aspect of it. And then I applied for York St John. And that was my first year at York St John, 2008. And I was 18 and stuck in a corner with these massive mini DV camcorders, not really knowing what I'm doing, but just absolutely getting stuck in with everyone, which was really, really great. And then obviously in 2011 you graduate in the beautiful Minster, which is amazing. But what did I learn? That was the main thing. I think the main thing from being here, what I felt, was finding your people. I feel the first year, I've got to admit, the first year I was kind of dossing. I wasn't taking it too seriously, and I saw other people taking it seriously, And I was like, well, I'm kind of I need to find who these people are, who I can collaborate with and make work that I'm proud of. So that was my main thing. So it's like, and then the second thing was like being open-minded and allowing people to speak and have their opinions. The biggest thing what I found leaving here and doing projects is that everyone has a voice, and you can't just shut down everyone's voice, because one idea could be great. And I think it's such a collaborative industry that like you can't be single-minded. You've got to be open to people's conversations and work in groups. You're all going to work with people you probably don't like their ideas, or probably won't even like them. But that's what the industry is, and that's what it goes on to be. And you've kind of got to get used to that a little bit. But then just take it with a pinch of salt. You know, and then the other thing, what I always look back on now, I'm like, make more films, make as much as you can, take advantage of the equipment. I didn't have a smartphone. They didn't have smartphones. It's got to sound really old saying that, which is really strange, because it was only 15 years ago. Only 15 years ago. But you know, all the equipment was there in the kit rooms to take advantage of. And I don't think, like looking back, I'm like, I could have just, you know, someone has a little idea for a 2-minute short film, a little documentary, I could have just take the kit out and rent it out and go on the weekend or drive somewhere if someone had a car to shoot something, you know, anything like that. And now I guess you can still make things look wicked on your phone, you know, and make loads of mistakes and learn. I think the thing is, people think that, you know, it's the fear of messing up, and I think it's really important to mess up and go, well, that didn't work, why didn't it work, what could I change on the next one, or the casting wasn't right, or the closing wasn't right, or the edit wasn't right, the music, you know, anything like this. It's just important to constantly make stuff to make all those mistakes. But what's next after university? That's the big thing. And this is kind of like my timeline, but you know, it was a weird one thinking about when I left, because it was mainly the people I met here what kind of got me to my next stage in a way, because I worked on Emma, but before that, someone here who I'd met, one of my really good friends, ended up, I don't know how, ended up like cable bashing at like the BAFTA Awards, literally just doing figures of 8. Which I remember learning doing figures of 8, like cabling, and she was like, do you want to come on that? And I was like, yeah, I was just saying yes to anything. Someone could have asked me to do anything, and I was really keen just to try and make it work. So I remember that. And then, you know, like everyone, when you're thinking of a film, you're like, I just want to do anything and work there, and you tell everyone that you want to work in film. My mum's a florist, and someone came in her shop and talking about a job, and she was a makeup artist on Emmerdale, and my mum obviously was like, honour, like, honour, my son needs his foot in the door, like, you need to meet him, da, da, da. And she was like, all right, yeah, calm down, I'll meet him. So she like set up a meeting in my mum's florist, and I went and just sat with her, and she's like grilling me, and she was like, okay, I'll get you a couple of days on Emmerdale. So I got on a couple of days towards the end of university, and basically just needed to be like enthusiastic and make a big impression, and just wanted to basically tell them that I will do anything and up for anything, be there at a certain time, whatever. Because I just wanted to be in this industry so bad. I didn't necessarily know where, but I just knew I wanted to be part of it collectively. So I ended up doing that, got a job there for a bit, which was really good. And then another friend from university who was in London was like, oh, my friend said she can get you some work experience in London. And I was like, London, let's go. I was like, I'm down. I wanna move to London. My dad said I was stupidly left my job at Emmerdale because I was like a third assistant director from being a runner and then a third AD. But it wasn't where I kind of placed myself. So I actually like went down and ended up being like in this like production company called Partisan, making tea and coffee. So I was just going around making teas, and I'd go into people's rooms and be like, what do you want doing? And basically I was like a glorified dog walker for a managing director for a long time. But I would pester directors, and I would pester, like, you know, anyone, producers, anything, just to kind of get some information about what they were doing. and basically they make music videos and commercials, and I didn't really know that landscape. So I just like, I don't know, I was that annoying guy in the office who'd go around and straight away make tea, but I'm making tea because I'm trying to make conversation and going with everyone and going like, what's that you're working on? What's this? Can I get on set there? And because I wasn't going on set much, I was just the person in the office, just like making tea and changing paper, basically. But basically from that, I bought myself a like a 5D, Canon 5D, which was like revolutionary when I was there. And I started making my own stuff, and as you do when you're in kind of like creative landscapes, people are in bands and stuff. And I met a band who at the time I didn't know were going to be quite big, but they're a band called Wolf Alice. I think they're big, still big now. But at the time they were unsigned. I met them in a pub, and I was like, I do music videos. Yeah, I'll make you a music video. I'll do it for free. What do you want? You know, I was just like, I will do anything you want. And we developed an idea and got it and did it. But then they got signed, and then they had a bit of money, and I didn't know what to do with it. So then I asked this production company, Partisan, who I was making tea for. I said, will you guys do this for me? And they said, yeah, we'll give you some hands. And what it did was, it like, they didn't give me the biggest producers. They gave me like PAs who wanted to produce, and they gave me other people who like-minded people, but were not quite there yet, to help me out. So we all helped each other out. This video did all right, and then Wolf Alice ended up winning the Mercury Award, so people saw the video. And then that's when like this production company started like taking me seriously. Like, oh, you cannot, because they'd never really looked at anything I did. I really had to like scream it in the face that I wanted to do this, I want to make things. So then they started taking me seriously, got a few more briefs from them, and then they officially signed me like as a director, which was really strange from making these producers tease to them going like, right, how are we going to work this budget and what we're going to do for this brief and stuff. So it was a really weird shift, which kind of, I mean, I was there a long time. 2020, that's when I felt like I had to leave, because I feel like they still looked at me like the little runner, tea maker guy, you know. So I needed to kind of break away from the nest and do my own thing. But I feel like the main thing from this timeline is just like, I was really enthusiastic, and I just knew that I was like, well, I've got to go for it, because if I don't really try and push down these doors, there's no one else going to do it for me. Or just letting everyone know that like that's what you want to do, because I didn't know anyone in the industry when I came here, or really it was just the people I met here that gave me a lending hand, because I was constantly saying what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be, or what, you know, I just knew I needed to be in this world in some way, in a creative form. So yeah, that's kind of the little timeline. But then now I feel like I want to talk to you about what a job looks like. Because I think it's fine me giving you like my bio and spiel and stuff, and you guys can come up to me afterwards and talk about like the intricacies of how I got through and whatever. But I just think it's quite important to break down a little job for you. It's all process. Obviously, you get sent an idea by an agency or a track from a music video. I have to then pitch a treatment, which I'll show you what that entails, and then obviously you shoot it and edit it, and then it goes out. So I got sent a brief from George at Asda, which is a funny little brief. So they sent me an idea, and this was their idea, and this was for their autumn winter last year, which is like celebrating like arriving and feeling the best, and they wanted to give it a nod to like an iconic like saloon door entrance in Westerns, with a series of women from George's autumn winter collection bursting through doors with confidence as a cowboy, basically. And they wanted loads of Western references, and I was like, fun. I was like, because they're pushing this Western line. Usually you get fashion briefs and they're like, we just want people walking down the street and put a price code on or whatever, which is boring. So I was like, this is kind of like genre driven, which can be quite interesting. But first of all, like what I just want to talk to you what a treatment is. And it's just basically like, not a script, but it's like, it's my pitch. It's my pitch document, and it explains the look and feel on screen. Which, thing is with this, I use this template now for anything, for documentaries, for short films, for commercials, and basically all it is for me is to get my ideas on paper and communicate it with every single department, basically. So that's the tone. Is it funny, emotional? Outlining visual styles, how you're going to use the camera, lighting, colours, locations you're going to use, what's the casting going to look like, how's the performance going to be, edit pace, music, sound, and then include loads of references to communicate. I feel like especially when you're chatting to like clients, you just got to imagine they've got zero imagination. So you've just got to be like, this is what it's going to look like. Because honestly, it blows my mind how much some people just can't see things. So you've really, really got to paint them a picture. So everyone's aligned with the job. So this was the pitch deck I did for George. So as you can see, it's just an intro, outlining things. It's a lot of writing, to be honest. Approach, look and feel, break down the script that I wrote, and then talk about casting, production design, location, music, sound, final things. It's all just slowly breaking down with images. There were some GIFs in here as well, just like trying to tell them exactly what I want to do. And then what you've got to do is, which is the most daunting thing, is now you all got to do it through a screen. So like I'll go on it and it's on Zoom with 4 clients, 4 agency, me and a production company, and I've got to pitch it on Zoom, which can be a very daunting task, especially when it used to be in a room with people. So it's again trying to use my communication skills through it to really translate and really sell yourself, really. I think throughout this, from university to now, I think all you kind of are salespeople. You've got to sell yourself, and it's really tough. I know it's tough, but you've got to. All I do every day is try and convince people. Please give me money to make this. I can make this great. That's all. That's what it is. You got a short film, or you want to work with a DOP or like another member of your team. You convincing them to work with you. I think that's the main thing. You're a salesperson. So this was the text I got off the producer when I won the job, which was really great. They want you to do it. I was like, oh yeah, I was very, 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 very happy about that. And then we started going into prep, which was really, really exciting. So these are like references, and then we started storyboarding at the bottom. I got people to stand in with the locations, take pictures, know how the light would be, got people to stand in and look silly based on my storyboards, found all these great locations with our location manager, more little storyboards and everything there, like me standing in, how everything's basically going to look and feel, just so it's like really, really prepped. And then what I love to do is like once we storyboard, I love to then put it into like a little thing called an animatic, which is just like all the storyboards together. You put your reference music that you want the music to be, and then it just basically makes me see like the pace it's going to be, because it's got to be 30 seconds because it's on telly. It's like you can't make it any longer or any shorter. You need to know it's going to land. And for this particular shoot, there was 20 shots, 3 location moves, and we had to do it all in one day, which was ridiculous. But that's just the requirements of what it was, and we just had to do it. So this was my little storyboard animatic we did, which was quite fun. And now I'm going to show you what we actually made from that, which changed slightly in the edit. And the music, I really like this music, but they just thought it was like too old and didn't have the rhythm or whatever, so we found something a little bit more punchier. But see if you can see any differences of what the two things were. All right, I'll show you some BTS actually, because people like the BTS, don't you? So these are locations. I always show it with a little dog and thing. Yeah, it was, yeah. Yeah, Burton on the Water.
Yeah,
that's where that's where we shot it, and it's a nightmare to shoot because it's full of tourists and very popular.
So busy, yeah.
So you just have to hold everyone back. Yeah. These are some little behind the scenes of the locations and how we shot it. These are like more people there on the left-hand side and right-hand side, like tons of people. We had to just like hold back. But this is what the ad turned out like. Yeah, fun little ad, which was very fun to do. Thank you. But what comes with them, it's great and fun, and I'm working to a brief, and you can have fun with it, and you know someone else is paying for it. It's great, and but you know at the same time I'm selling clothes for Asda George. That's what I've got to think in my head. Like that's what it boils down to. But then that's why for my own self. Worth and like my own sanity, you've got to make things for yourself. That's the thing what I like really wanted to root for. And I ended up doing a project with my brother actually, who was in the military. He openly spoke about his post-traumatic stress from it, and I was like, let's have a conversation and let's make a film, basically. So this is a very different from the film you just saw, but this was a personal project I did. Rounded up friends. I paid for it myself. I got everyone to work for free, which was really nice. We shot it around Pontefract, where I'm from, and yeah, this is what I'd love to show you guys.
When I got out of the army, I didn't focus more on my mindset and my environment. I focused on like trying to do something to keep my mind busy. In the army, it didn't really give me that much support when I left. I think purely because that was my own fault. I was only in for 6 years, really.
Big Jordan, Afghanistan. Yeah, you know it.
Served in Afghanistan 2008, 2009 with 5/9 Commando.
Jordan is just checking this guy for suicide threat.
We did see some dark stuff. We saw a lot of horrible stuff, don't get me wrong. You know, it had a big effect on me. The worst time for me was coming to the end of our patrol. We were coming back into base, and we heard some gunshots. And then we get two local Afghani elders coming towards us with a wheelbarrow. In that wheelbarrow were a young kid. He must have been, I don't know, 10, 9, something like that. And he'd been shot in the head. And he just said, "You've shot our boy, you give us some money." And what we did is we did shoot him. Basically, we thought he were dicking. He was spying on us. Turns out he wasn't. He was just a curious young lad. There was nothing to do with him spying on us or working for Taliban. He was just a curious young kid. I don't sleep very much. I'm always constantly on the edge. It's not good, but that is just how I am. And I think being out there, it wasn't a comfort zone. Like they say, it was a war zone. You had to be constantly on the edge. You know, and the unfortunate thing is, I brought some of that back with me.
Fish, man. I found my own ways of dealing with it, handling it,
through, you know, going to the gym, taking out on the gym. That's where I go to release all the, not bad energy, but the negative frustration I build up inside of me, not just from work, but just from, you know, things going on, things still in my head. Just to make me feel like I'm in control of it all. And if I don't get all that out in the gym, it just burdens me all until the following day, and it builds up, and that's where I need to like unleash it all. In the background of every soldier, or even anybody who's suffered like a traumatic event in their life, in the back of their minds, all they will see is aggression. They will see that red mist. The important thing is for everybody suffering from is to control that red mist. Control it so it doesn't come out and take over your life, because when it does, or if it does, you'll see a different person, and it will affect not only you, but your loved ones and your friends and everybody around you.
That's it. A bit more of a serious tone. Forget how serious that was. But I think what my main thing is what I want to show you the contrast between, you know, when I get something that's a commercial brief and then something that I want to tell myself and how I want to tell it. And with this, you know, this was just it felt like a university project. It felt like I was rounding up my friends again, going, finding locations, shooting. You know, I think there was a crew, I think there was 4 of us who did this, you know, on the shoot. There was me, and then I had a DOP, cameraman, my brother, and then I had a friend who just helped me. So I kind of produced it and did stuff. And we just went, it was my brother's local gym. We went to his gym. We asked him if we could film there. We had 2 lights. We had like these little like tube Astera lights, which, you know, like battery powered, and you can use them on like an iPad and things. So we tried to really, really minimize it. We shot it on 16mm film, which was the main expense really, was shooting it on film. But my friend had a camera. I think we shot on maybe 4 rolls, which is like 11 minutes each. And so I knew the ratio of time I needed to shoot things. We shot it over 2 days, and then I edited it myself, and then got favors for someone to do the music and grade and everything for me. But it felt like I was back at university making a project that I felt personal to me, and I wanted to put my own stamp on it, with no one else telling me, no, you should change that and you should change this. It was like, it felt freeing again. And I made this a few years ago, and I'm like, I just need to sink my teeth into something else, because commercials are fun and paid projects are all fun, but I think this is the real stuff that like I hark back to me, and I'm like, okay, this is why I love it, and that's why I got into it, because it's just making films with your friends, which is like the best thing. So there's a couple of behind the scenes things here. The image on the left is actually my brother's living room, and he was at work, and I was like, well, can we shoot in your living room, is it okay? And he's like, yeah, but obviously he didn't expect that I was turning it red. And I bought this it's like bendy mirror stuff, which like I just got it on eBay, and we filmed his reflection in it, and then you slowly bend it, and then that's what like morphs his face and things. And then with these Astera lights, you can like flicker them. So we were just, I was like, what music do you want to listen to with this? And he just put on Metallica full blast. and we just had these things flickering and all the mirrors, because I wanted to like get into his like, or the metaphor of getting into his head. And then this is us at the gym. All his mates are there at the gym as well, being like, what are these guys doing? But as you can see, we literally just had one light above top of his head. And then that's my friend Adric, who's a really great friend and collaborator who I met in London again, he'd moved from Australia, he hadn't had much on his reel, but he just wanted to make things. So he's been my kind of like main guy. I've worked with him throughout. And then I kind of just want to, I basically just want to, I do a podcast as well, so I talk about all these things and all about this process, but I interview other directors, casting directors, editors, and we basically talk about the ups and downs in the industry. We've been going a couple of years, we've got about 25 episodes or something, but like from what I'm giving you here, it might just, give you a little help if you're wanting to just be an editor or casting or whatever it is you want to be. There might be someone on there. There's really great producers on there as well, colorists, which just might help, I don't know, guide you in a way that maybe I can't. And then I guess I'll just talk a little bit about advice. I've got it, like I've kind of been pushing to you guys, persistence is key. I think it's like you've got to, be the captain of your own ship a little bit. I think about finding production companies, agencies, people you admire, and find their emails and Instagrams and DM them. I literally, when I was first making music videos and everything, I'd just message, like, I'd look on artists and then see they wouldn't have many, like, loads of hits or whatever, or followers, and just be like, hey, do you want a music video? I can try and wrangle some up and make you something, and just meet them and try and pitch them an idea. I think that was my main thing, and like I was saying when I worked for that production company, I was going around asking if people need anything. What do you need? Can I help? Can I do this? It's basically just putting your energy out there. And then I think the other thing is just going to film festivals. I know York has the amazing Aesthetica Film Festival, which is such a big thing in the industry now. It kind of wasn't as big when I was here, but it's huge. Go and find like-minded people. Go to as many events as you can. Just find your people and then make as much work as you can. From all this, I think the main thing I really have to stress is finding your community of people and finding your collaborators, because they're the people that you just can't do it on your own. That's the thing. You've got to be open to finding your collaborators. And just like a little thanks and and that's it. And if there's any questions, I don't know what.
We've got plenty of time for questions. I've got some questions if none of you have, but before I start pestering Ozzie, does anybody have any particular questions about anything you've seen, or?
Open to anything.
Fire away if you do.
How did you find the limbo period between being in university to then working on Amateur? Like, how was that?
It was, I used to work in, so being from Pontefract, there's like a indoor ski slope, Escape, and there was a skate park in there, so I worked there on the weekends a lot.
Went to college at
New College.
Pontefract.
That's where I went. Yeah, that's where I went, New College, yeah.
You said it and I was like,
Yeah, that's where I went. So I worked at the skate park there, so, that kind of like kept me ticking along, but I guess the lull period was like, I think I was still trying to keep in touch with everyone who I went to university with. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Who's there? What's going on there? And just trying to, because I knew one of them, as I mentioned, was like doing the cable bashing thing at BAFTA, and I was like, get me in. How can you get me in? Like, I need to get in, And I think I was just trying to stay connected with everyone I left university with. And I was making skate videos, but I was just dicking around with that really. But it kind of made me kept my finger on the trigger as you were like editing and things. But it is tough. It is a tough lull period. But I think it's about. I have lull periods now. Like that George thing came out in September, and I'm only just pitching on stuff now to make. So I have them all the time, and I've got to pitch, and I've got to be persistent. And when no one's emailing me, I can't just be twiddling my thumbs. I've got to be like, right, okay. What agencies have brands that I like, and I've got to find them. And I've only just discovered LinkedIn this year. That's my, you know, or this year, last year. Honestly, I was like, LinkedIn's a thing. And it really is for agencies. Rather than like filmmakers introducing each other like DOPs or whatever, for me, again, as a salesperson, I was like, okay, what agencies do I like? What brands do they do? Who are the creatives there? Who are the, you know, who are the senior producers there, agency producers, who might just click me and go, oh yeah, that's a cool thing I saw. Or when I was premiering this film, I basically made a list of emails of agencies I hadn't worked with and just fired emails to them. Not loads of people got back, gotta tell you, but some people did, and hopefully that stuck. Because straight away after this, then someone got in touch with me for the Royal British Legion, and I did a charity spot for them. It wasn't like a money thing, but it was a great thing to give back because they'd seen this. So again, it's about like putting your energy out there. I don't know if, I've LinkedIn's crazy now. I'm like LinkedIn, you know, oh, I did a new piece of work or whatever. But yeah, it weirdly does work. I don't know if that's the thing with you guys now, but I don't know. I've just found it to be very, very helpful. But yeah, lull periods happen, and I just think persistence and trying to power through, really. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Yeah, you got more questions?
Yeah, I've got so many more.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, hit.
Okay. What like key difference do you find between like actual in-industry houses compared to working freelance?
Like working with a company or rather being on my own. I think when I was in a company, you have everyone's there. You're surrounded by producers, production managers. You're surrounded by people who will like help you because they're all being paid a wage as well. You know, I wasn't as a director, but they're there. They can just help you because they're getting paid a wage. Freelancing's a little bit tougher because I'm going to a production coming to ask for help, or I'm rounding up my troops, and they're doing it kind of pro bono. They're kind of doing it for free, unless I'm like, look, I've got this. I can pay for your travel and food. That's what I can get. Like my friend who shot this film really wanted to go to Scotland on a biking trip, and his tent had been like ruined his tent, so I bought him a new tent. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, look, I'll get your tent. Please come and just do this thing for me, and I'll sort everything else. So it's different, but it's. I wouldn't have been able to make this film if I wouldn't have slowly done things with them throughout, and then it's like it's not a favour. It's just they just want to work for you, work with you, because they like you. You know, I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
How would you say you stay motivated during like periods of like people aren't getting to you as much? Like, what's a good way to keep on?
Well, I share an office with 3 other directors and a producer, all freelance, and we all go through little periods. And I think it's them people and my friends that keep me going really and keep me pushed. And I think the main thing, what I found, which is really tough, is like for freelance. Obviously, you're putting in an invoice, you're waiting 30 days for it, and you know you've got all this kind of like time period waiting, and you've just got to be so responsible with your money. It's insane, like because you might not have a job for 3 months, and it can be really tough. But then there's other people I surround myself with who are in a very similar position. And about like my friend the other day was like, oh, what about that short film you mentioned, what you wanted to do? And I was like, oh yeah, kind of forgot about that. That's what he was like. Why don't you just spend a few hours on that through this week, and then throw some emails out, and then hopefully something will come back, rather than me kind of like sitting and being miserable, which does happen. But I just think surrounding yourself with people who push you and motivate you, I think is my biggest thing. Yeah. Anyone else?
You talked about how currently as like paid work you're doing a lot of commercials and fashion and music videos, but like for personal projects you've done like the short film doc and short films.
Yeah.
Is that something you're trying to also eventually like do for profit, and like what are you doing to get there?
Yeah, big question, tough question. Because I think when I initially came into wanting to what I wanted to do, especially leaving university, I wanted to I want to make films. Like TV wasn't a really thing. I just wanted to make films, and I kind of fell into this industry which do commercial and music videos, and I was like, oh, this is how people maintain a current kind of job, like paid work, with rather, and then developing, you know, a film and things. Now it's really tough because it's like, I managed to do that, which was really great. But obviously I'm putting my own money into doing it, and then I'm like, right, okay, I've got to do some more commercial work to get it done. I'm kind of like, my lane at the start of last year was like, I want to make an impact in commercials, TV commercials. I said it to myself because I was sick of being skint, to be quite honest. I was sick of being like, because like, you know, you can do like, you can be a gaffer or a spark or, you know, DOP and everything. Direct, it's like, there's a lot of competition, so you've got to really put yourself out there. And I just said, I've got to focus on this for a year. So for the past year, I've been really focusing on commercials and trying to make an impact in the agency world. So when say like a fashion brief comes in, they say my name, like, oh, Ozzie could be good for this. And that was my goal last year, which has kind of worked out. It's doing all right. And then now I'm like, okay, I need to do something else that brings me back into the idea of like, I want to make films again. So at the moment, I'm just, I've got 2 scripts I'm trying to get made. But again, it's like, I've got to round up the troops again. Ask them to do favors. Can you do this? All right, well, how can I do this? Like, is the where I want to shoot is just like the North York Moors. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they could stay at my mum and dad's house when I get there, and I could drive up. Do you know what I mean? Drive up there, and or maybe they'll do it free. And like, what actors do I know up here? And I'm like, right, I need to do that, because weirdly on my reel I don't have anyone talking. I haven't done anyone really talking since I left university and did my grad film. So now I'm like, right, I need to do this to then get in, because I'd love to do television. I'd love to do, you know, long form TV series stuff and film. But it is quite a divided community. I think it's slowly getting closer, but TV and film stuff, look at sometimes commercial and directors there are trying to make it. It is still a bit like, but you do commercials, music videos, you know. I think some people are getting to make the jump, but it's trying to convince people to give you money to do it. And so at the moment, I'm really, I say really trying. I should be trying harder, to be honest, to really get into it. But I've just been so single-minded in commercials. But that'll be the next step, is getting into TV and hopefully doing another short film that's not a documentary. I think my main thing with this is I didn't want a talking head. I wanted it to be very visual and not just like I'm following my brother around. Like, I went and scouted these locations and told him to sit there, do that. You know, I wanted it to frame it like it was really cinematic. So hopefully, yeah, short films and stuff will come. Because literally all my mates are really trying to break it, and it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. Anyone else?
It's kind of a question with another question. I assume that you've probably been let go from pictures because your ideas aren't the same. What do you take away from that experience?
I guess what I've learned, because the ratio probably, I mean, it used to be so high, it used to be like 1 in 10, especially in music videos, because so many people would pitch. Now there's a strict thing with commercials where you pitch against 3 people. And it's got to be, you know, they've got more guidelines in place of who's who and what's what and how that's looking. Music videos used to be like Wild West, honestly. It's like 10 pitches. You don't get paid to pitch. Now in commercials, you do get paid to pitch, which is good. It's not loads, but you can get money from the agency to help you do it, because then it's an incentive and it means they're actually thinking about who's pitching. But what I've kind of, the main things usually when I've lost something is because, I guess, tone of voice. Their tone was different from what I wanted. I usually, when I do a pitch, I'll make a playlist on Spotify, and I'll be like, play this as you read my pitch. You know, listen to this, because this will put you in the mindset, the tone of what I'm thinking. And sometimes it just doesn't align. Sometimes they're like, whoa, this is well off beat. You know, and then you're on the call with them, and they're like, yeah, we're not thinking that. And I don't think I've ever been like, okay, yeah, we'll change it. You know, we'll just do this, or they'll be like, we're thinking more handheld or loose, or, you know, and the casting's different. But then I'm like, well, I kind of got to stick to my tone of voice. I think what's been hard when I first started was I was just doing anything and for anyone. But then when you look at your portfolio of your work, you go, I don't know who I am. I don't know where I'm sitting. You know, so then you've kind of got to go, well, what do I like doing, and really try to hone in on that. I'm only just doing that now, I think. I only just go like, and it's funny, you see those two things and they're very, very different because one's a commercial thing and one's my own. But I've kind of got to split my mind up a little bit and be like, well, the commercial, these are working for this. And I do really enjoy them, you know, it's loads of fun. But I just think it's finding your voice and really tuning to it and not feeling like I've done a bad job. I'm just like, it's just not right for them, which is fine, you know, it's fine. Hope that answers it. Yeah. Anybody else?
I guess now that you've said that you've gone freelance, I don't know if this has kind of already been answered as part of another question, but like now that you're freelance, how do you manage kind of the day-to-day?
So when I'm not, the past few weeks I've just had 2 briefs in, so I've just been writing on them and writing the breakdown of doing the treatment and getting ready to present. And then it's emailing a lot of people and meeting more people, might have bloody coffees and stuff. You know, it's just like it's going to be for this afternoon when we're all chatting. That's what it is. It never changes. Like, I'm still chasing the next job. I am, because I've got to have my finger on the pulse. Like, or I'll see a new piece of work on like a commercial thing or music videos. I'll be like, who's done that? Who was the commissioner? Who's the agency producer? And then email them, hey, saw this, it looked great. I've just done this piece of work. Love to either have a Zoom or a coffee if you're around. Or I'll find out like where their office is. I'll be like, oh, I'm actually around there. Like, oh, do you want to grab a coffee? You know, I'll just try and figure out how I can make it work just to meet them in person. Because I do so many of them Zoom calls, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like meeting someone in person, they get a sense of who you are a little bit more. So it's that really, it's chasing still. It honestly never ends, but that's kind of why I like it. I think if I were just like twiddling our thumbs too much, I think I'd go mad. Like, you know, I get myself I got a cinema membership, so in the day I'll just go and watch films and get hyped, you know, get pumped again, get excited. I think it's the main thing. But yeah, chasing, always. Lou?
What's the timeline of, say, if you get a briefing,
Yeah.
and then you have to turn it around? Is it in a realistic terms? Are they asking for it really quickly, or do you have that time to have a little bit more of a creative flow?
It can be quite quick. So, well, I say quick, but it's like, so that George thing was like over. So I think it was over like 2 months.
Okay.
So the brief came in. You have like a week or a week and a half to pitch, or like to get your deck together. Then you present. They see 3 directors in one day. They have, and then the agency will choose 2 people, but 1 favourite, and send it to client. And then the client will be like, they don't have to choose agency favourite. It's up to them. But they need 2 choices. They choose, and then it's like all systems go. And then so from then you're probably doing like a week's location scouting and casting, and then. Yeah, and then another week, probably like 2 weeks prep, probably 2 weeks, I'd say.
It's quite a quick turnaround, really.
Very quick, yeah. And then, you know, because you've got to, but what we kind of do is when the pitch comes in, without knowing we've got the job, we start penciling crew. Is so-and-so around? Is that location manager around? Where would we shoot? We kind of present it so when they go, cool, we're going, it's all there. Okay. We've already done the pre-work. I mean, and then it's crazy. You do all this work, then you shoot it in one day. It's balmy. Shot it in one day, and then the post is like a week for the edit, and the client get 3 changes. Okay. That's in the contract, 3, which I really love because they can go wild. And then they really think about those 3 changes. And then from them 3 changes, you lock the edit, you go into the grade, might be a bit of post, a bit of like clean up or whatever. And then literally, sometimes you deliver it, and then they're like, oh, we might not release it now till about another 4 weeks. And you're like, cool, nice. Everyone's just rushed and stressed to make this work. And then it takes ages to come out. But I'd probably say from pitch to release, probably 2 months.
Okay.
2 months work. Yeah, and sometimes you're like, well, I need to squeeze in another job to do it, depending on what the jobs are. But it can be quite intense, yeah. Anyone else?
So working with your brother in the short documentary, would you say that working with people who you have a personal connection with makes like it easier to fulfill your vision?
I did, and I think that's why I did this first. Like one of my first put my own money into something was because I kind of knew it came from an organic conversation I had with him in a car, and then asked him if I could put a radio mic on him. So I didn't put a camera on him, and then I had a conversation like I would, I just sat with him and chatted. So I kind of knew I already had that trust with him, and then I kind of from there put like from his voiceover, I made the kind of where the beats would be, and then showed it to him like just the audio, and he was like, "Oh yeah, great, looks good, mate." He's got no idea really what I'm thinking, and then I said, "How would you feel about coming in and doing this?" And my brother's just like wants to help me. He's just like supportive family member. He's just like, "Whatever you want, mate, yeah, tell me what." And I found all his locations, and that was shot, and it was so hot that day. It was like 35 degrees. He's got his big army gear on. Like, walk up this thing, mate. Go and do this. Go and sit here. But he was just like really open to be like, "Yeah, I'll do it, mate." And I think because we already had that trust, I felt like it was easier to kind of get what I wanted from it. And then I sent it to him, showed him, he was like, "Bloody hell, how'd you do this?" He's like, because it was just like two days of just like fanning around for him. But I do think from first projects, look at people who maybe like acting, and you think, "Hey, you want to get them in," or a documentary about someone you kind of know. I think there's this level of trust then, and they trust you, and it makes everything a little bit easier because it's your friends, and that's kind of why I honestly really loved making this, because it felt like I was back at school, which it should do, Anyone other questions?
I'll throw in a question. So with the briefs coming in that you mentioned.
Yeah.
At this stage of your career, are those briefs coming in from familiarity with the agencies from working on previous projects that they've kind of commissioned or had ownership on?
They kind of come from all over. So the ones I'm pitching at the moment came from because they saw that George campaign. So they were like 2 of the fashion ones. So they were like, "Oh, we saw that. We kind of like this. Can you do it like that?" And that came from an agency. And then I attached it to a production company. The other ones were just through people It's funny, the production company who did the George one was I was a runner on a production with that production company. And the person who was there was a PA who was now head of production at the production company. So I met her while running and making tea and stuff, and she was slightly higher than me. And then I bumped into her somewhere, and she is now head of production at this company. And then I was like, "Oh, I've gone freelance as a director." And she was now at a position where she could then get me work, and I had grown into a position. So, and that's what I've kind of found, especially with trying to find a community of people. You find that like you're all really scrambling and making tea and trying to get your foot in the door, but you gradually grow, and then you go, "Oh yeah, I ran with you and you did this," and they're like, "Oh yeah, you were great," and I mean, it boils down to just like being nice and being personable and not being a knob, and just being like really helpful with each other. And then you realise in 10 years that everyone who was nice are all running companies. And then you go like, "Oh, quick, great, get me some work." I think that kind of answered it. Yeah.
Well, I suppose that's reaping the benefits of all that networking, isn't
Yeah.
it? Making those connections.
But like not even when I was doing it, you're not thinking about it. You're just like cracking on and being good and trying to be as good as you can and nice. That then hopefully the repercussions will surface later on, and just.
There's a kind of notion that's kind of be kind to everyone on your way up, because you never know who you're going to meet.
Well, that's it. That's exactly it.
I suppose that old adage of it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Building up that repertoire of,
No, because I think it's just like, when I was coming up, I didn't even necessarily think I was like that good. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted to make stuff, and people was like, "Oh, well, he seems all right. We'll give him a chance." I don't know. It just felt like that. I don't know. And I think you've got to be humble in that way. Yeah.
You said that like when you were still with the production company and you like the first time you got the music video, you then went to them and they kind of like gave you a crew to work with.
Yeah.
How do you approach that now that you're freelance? Like when you get a job, how do you source your crew?
So the production company usually who will be doing it for me, they'll ask me. So they'll be like, who do you want to shoot it? Who do you want to be your production designer? Who do you want sound? Who do you want? Like they'll ask me first for my heads of production, and I've just got collaborators I've worked with from music videos and people who've done nothing for me for free. I can now, give back, and they're doing their own routes and things. And if they're around, I've just got a list of people, and I go, I want to work with this person. I want to work with this person. And I try and work with the same crew pretty much the whole time. DOPs are really hard because they're always they're the busiest people, I've got to say. DOPs are just like shooting all over. So they're really hard to lock down. But there's a really good community. And it doesn't really matter, like, especially DOPs, I actually it don't really matter where they live either. Like, I feel like they could be up north and down south or whatever. But yeah, it's more, I've just got my lists of people, and if they're not there, I'm like, damn. Hey, do you want to do it? Just go through it. Yeah. Anyone else? Or is that it?
So I'm intrigued. Just come back to your slide that's got the kind of thumbnails of all.
This?
Was it the next one? Well, I suppose that covers it to some extent. Was there another one? So obviously when you were kind of working for Partisan, you did a fair few music videos, didn't you? And you spoke about the Wolf Alice one that you effectively, I suppose, kind of orchestrated yourself by meeting the band.
Yeah.
And then you went on and did one of the early videos for Lewis Capaldi, wasn't it?
Did a Lewis Capaldi one, yeah.
Did they all come through Partisan?
Yeah, they did.
Did you have to vie for them, or was it a case of
no, I had
Partisan almost effectively?
No, so once I had that, I was then Partisan have a collaboration with a lot of commissioners, and commissioners are the ones who get they work for the label, the record label. They have the music in. They go, we need a music video for this 2 weeks. Who can we put it out to? So they'll put it out to Partisan. Sent them the brief, and Partisan goes like, I think this your style. This could be your style. And then I look at it, listen to the music, write a top line idea. And then if the commissioner likes it, then they're like, right, develop it into a treatment. So that they have the relationship with the commissioners. So I kind of needed to make it myself, something worthy that they can go like, yeah, we trust you to do that. And then they would get all the briefs sent to them, which is harder now because I've kind of weirdly fell out of music videos. And I did one with swimming from an artist called Tourist, but it's because I DM'd him ages ago and liked his music. And was like, I just want to make a music video for you. And he was like, yeah, cool, all right. And he didn't even turn up on set.
Was that post-Partisan?
That was post, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And was that the last music video you've...
No, my last one was for a guy called Mark William Lewis. But it was a weird, trippy one, and I co-directed it with him, and he was the artist, and it was strange. But it was fine. Right. But it was just like, it wasn't as fun as my swimming one. But I always want to do one a year. Because it gives me something to release, whatever's in your head, rather than going an agency going like, make this. It kind of, I like working with music and coming up with stuff.
Do you feel you get more of a sort of creative say in the music videos?
Big time, yeah. It's because they're like purely your ideas. So it's just like you'll listen to the music and go, oh, I think this idea will work with that, and then it either sits with them or it doesn't, and then that's it. Yeah.
So is music video still something that you?
I love them, yeah. I love them. It's just the budgets are so tough for music videos.
Do you ever get briefs coming through for them, or is it more a case of you chasing down artists and I suppose using your kind of catalogue of previous works?
It's that now, yeah. Because I've kind of moved into commercials more. There's younger directors coming up who are in their early stages who just have the kit and just do it. It's crazy how amazing things can look now with one person and a camera. It's crazy. I just didn't have the, I didn't have the kit. I was just what needed the crew. I say that. But then now I just think, they want visual. The landscapes change where they're like, well, we want 4 visualizers for these tracks, and it's got to be one shot, and then that'll be land on Spotify or whatever in this and this. Music videos are tough, but they're so much fun because it's 3 minutes of putting your stamp on something, and then you're going, this is the type of director I am. Yeah. That it then?
Any other questions anybody wants to throw out?
Some great questions. I really appreciate it.
I mean, I could probably go on forever, but I think that's probably a time
Yeah.
to wrap up. And obviously, you'll have opportunity to ask any additional questions to Ozzie during the kind of lunch moment. You might well.
Yeah. Just come and chat to me. I'm going to be here throughout, and you can chat and everything. Cheers. Thank you.